Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to P. Welcome to PSGL. I am Ivor Bryn. Mike going to be taking you through the action here tonight, and joined alongside me is Mr. RDR Quinn, and that's got to be the worst intro I've ever done.
Yeah, it's great to be here, man. Of course, we are here in Austria. As you can see, there is only 13 drivers, so it's going to be interesting. I'm guessing it's going to be very close qualifying from 1st to 13th, so yeah, it's going to be very interesting. Looks like it's nice and sunny out there, so shouldn't have to worry about any rain in qualifying, so looks like it's going to be dry, at least for qualifying. Don't want to jinx it for the race.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, as you mentioned, here in Austria at the Red Bull Ring, 4.3 kilometer circuit in length. 3 DRS zones, one down in towards turn 1, one up towards turn 3, and one down towards turn number 4. It's going to provide a lot of good overtaking opportunities, so we're going to be able to see some overtaking out there on track. And this track obviously promotes a lot of close racing, and guys struggling to break the train, and that's going to be a major thing in this race. And obviously with 13 drivers, I mean, dropping out the train here could mean that you end up with absolutely nothing.
Yeah, definitely. It can mean that you just get 0 points, and it's going to be detrimental to people, especially if you spin or you crash out. It's going to, with this few amount of people, you'd think it would be easier to get points, but then it's more pressure on them, as we're on board. Well, I'm on board with King at the moment. He's just going through turn 3 right now. Took it very nice and tidy through there, a little bit of a slide down through the 3rd DRS zone into turn 4. He's got a little bit of traffic ahead, which is Miguel, and he's run a bit wide on that curb, but kept it nice and tidy, well, as tidy as he can.
44.5 in the middle sector.
Yeah, purple sector 2 there. Got a little bit more traffic ahead, but gets out of the way. Now going through the penultimate corner into the last corner. Carry as much speed as you can. Nearly invalidates. And it's a 1:39 for King so far.
Yep, good opening lap for King there. And again, I'm going to have to turn up audio settings and that, because yeah, it's quite low for me, so hopefully that is all better now. And obviously Owen Moore pops up there with a 1 minute 3.5. Good lap there from Owen. And I was going to bring up the fact that so King obviously has switched from JR King to RCR King, but it is the same King. And obviously Fleddy has switched from JR to FER as well, so
I do believe Miguel has actually changed as well from WOR to NLR.
Yeah, that is another one. Yeah, so a couple of name changes here tonight, as a lot of drivers are changing teams. Yeah, I mean, the transfer window is open.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm just trying to stick on board with someone who's close to finishing a lap. I think next person who's going to finish their lap is Burrell, so if you want to take us through the rest of their lap.
Yeah, so Burrell now coming through to the middle sector split as he tries to hook up through turn 6 and now through 7. It's a 44.8 in the middle sector. Of course, that is around about 3/10 slower than we saw from King on his opening lap. So looking around a 4.2, 4.1 currently, but runs very wide. Somehow isn't invalidated, but runs wide on the exit, and that is an invalidation.
Yeah, it was. It was a 4.2, so I would have seen him go into 9th place there. I'm just on board with ET8 Chris now as he rounds the penultimate corner. into the final corner, carrying as much speed as he can. He invalidates and crashes out.
I'm wondering if he just tried a little bit too hard to keep his foot in there, because that was a strange crash. I don't think that was an intentional crash.
No, it didn't look like intentional. I think the rear just got away from him as he was planting his foot down. And yeah, it's unfortunate, but as we were talking, Tactician put himself up into P2, so good running for the Alfa Romeo so far, and especially from Tactician, seeing as the last few races he's been more towards the middle and the bottom of the pack, so yeah, it's a very good lap there from Tactician.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, let's go going through the results now from last week. It was Aguado who took the victory ahead of King in second. Fleddy came on in third, Miguel fourth, Owen Moore in fifth. Tactician, I mean, as you mentioned, it's not really gone in favour of him this season, but he did get a sixth place last time out in Qatar, so a good result from Tactician. Aiden in seventh, Jano was in eighth, and Lifeboat was in ninth. And then rounding out the final point playing position was Soapbox. So that's how things ended up last week as we crossed the line with Jerome. Now we're going to see what he can do, and he goes up into P9 just ahead of his Red Bull teammate. And in terms of the championship, here's how things are looking. It is Aguado leading the way on 38 points, 4 points clear of King in second place on 34. Then a 9-point gap down to Miguel in third on 25 points. And of course we got Alex Marciano on 24 points. Obviously he's missed 2 races so far this season. And of course he's going to be missing another one as well. So this could come back to haunt him later on in the season. Missing quite a few races. Fleddy half a point behind Alex Marciano. He's in he's in fifth right now with 23.5 points. And we've got another gap down to the Alfa Romeo of Jano on 13 points, 12 points for Owen Moore, 11.5 points for Tactician, 10 points for Luke and Nick, and obviously Aiden there tied on points, and 8 points for Lifeboat in the Alpha Tauri, 6 points for the Haas driver Stretch, 6 points for Soapbox as well. 5 points for Daniel, 4 points for Chris. Jerome, as we was just on board with him, he has 3 points to his name, and yeah, that is it of the point scoring positions in the drivers' standings. We're going to try and go on board with Aguado, who's in the middle of his lap. It's a 44.5 in the middle sector, so on course to be matching King right now in the middle sector, but can he find some time in the final sector? We're about to find out as he comes through the final corner. Keeps it all valid, and that is very smooth until the line comes Aguado and he pops himself up into P2.
Yeah, it was a very solid lap, especially that sector 3. It was lightning quick. As you said, the sector 2 split was on par with King, and he managed to gain 3 tenths on King through the final sector and sees himself up into the front row.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've just gone through the Drivers' Championship, so why don't we look at the Constructors as well while we're at it. So Williams are currently leading the way on 38 points, and you've got the Alpines in second on 34. 30 points for the Haas F1 team, and also 30 points for the Mercedes AMG team as well. So they're both tied on 30 points. It's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top there. Alfa Romeo in fifth on 24.5 points, and got Red Bull on 23.5 points. So very close between them two. Alpha Tauri on 12 points, Ferrari on 11, McLaren on 10. So very close between those three teams as well. And the Aston Martin team bringing up the rear on 2.5 points. So that is how things are looking in the Constructors. Alfa Romeo doing very good at the moment with Jano and Tactician both up there in terms of qualifying thus far, but we still got plenty of time in the session to go. King has unfortunately invalidated his lap. Borrell, I think, has just finished his lap. Stretch, I believe, has just finished his lap, as well as Tactician, I believe, is just starting a lap.
Yeah, I'm gonna hop on board with Tactician here as he rounds turn 1 through turn 2. That's not really a turn, it's more of a kink. Turn 3 now, he is a tenth down on his time, so it might not have been as good a run through turn 1, but turn 3 is nice and clean. Turn down into turn 4, takes the curb, locks up a little bit going through the corner, but didn't really affect his run through. Now going into the middle sector and the second sector split, it's about on par with King, well, about on par with Lifebout, I'd say now, as King did improve by 2/10 through the penultimate corner now for Tactician. Don't think it will be an improvement. That's an invalidation through the final corner.
Yeah, just took a little bit too much inside curb there.
Yeah, about 2/10 down on his previous lap time.
Yeah, of course. Now we're in a bit of a calm before the storm right now. We've got 6 minutes and 20 seconds to go here in qualifying. Of course, only 12 drivers running right now due to the Chris crashing out, and I'm not entirely sure. I don't believe he had a qualifying ban. I didn't see anything pop up referring to that, but
no, he definitely he crashed out coming out of the final corner.
Yeah, I didn't see anything regarding the qualifying ban, so yeah, it's an interesting one as Fleddy is just starting a lap. He's currently down in 11th place, and he's a big lap here as we go through turn 1. Decent traction on the exit of turn 1, now running up the hill through the left hand little kink of turn 2. Spot your braking down in towards turn 3. Gotta get good rotation, good traction out of here, and Fleddy has got both of that. DRS wide open once again as we head down towards turn number 4. Braking just at the 100-meter
Miguel
board.
spun.
Unfortunate there for the Mercedes as Fleddy comes through turn 5 now into the left-hander turn 6. Really want to hook the car up through this section, especially because these corners, you can gain a lot of time here, but you can also lose a lot of time as we go through turn 8 now, down towards turn 9. Throw the car in, maximum commitment, using every bit of the track as you can for the final corner. Fleddy to the line. Was this going to be for the Red Bull man? He's up in the P7.
Yeah, just before that, his teammate Jerome had crossed the line, put himself up into P9 with 103.8. Now I believe Owen Moore's on a lap, so I'm going to go on board with Owen. Gets right up on the curb there. It's an improvement through sector 2. Only a 700th improvement, but that's enough to put him into the 103.4s. See how he goes through the last 2 corners. A little bit slidey through the entry. Didn't cut it as much as he could through the final corner, but it's a 103.3. Nearly 3.5 temps, well, just over 3 temps ahead of Janel, who's still in the pits. And Aguado is actually invalidated, so I'm not 100% sure if he's going to be able to. I think he might go into the pits and strap on another set of softs, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think that's exactly what he's doing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't lie, that was a fantastic lap from Owen Moore. He found a lot of time in our final sector.
Yeah, it definitely did. It was an exceptional lap. He must have gained at least 1.5 temps through the final sector there. Just seeing King come up to the line. Will it be improvement? It is. P2 for King. And in a championship battle with Aguado, where you're starting second and Aguado's 4th, that is big for King.
Yeah, that is a big lap there from King. Owen Moore is the man to beat right now, though, and honestly, I mean, last week in Qatar, he did get a pole position. So, could it be back-to-back pole sitter?
Yeah, he did. And starting the final few runs of this session, we have Burrell just coming up into turn one here, cuts the first corner very nicely, gets a little bit on the sausage curve on the outside, but it'll do, it's still valid. He is down 3/4 of a tenth on his first time, but he can make that up. There's still plenty of corners to make up that time. Coming through the DRS zone, down into turn 4 he goes. Very neat and tidy, got a little bit extra on the curb there. That's going to scrub a little bit of speed off. Keeps it virtually pinned, and that is an invalidation for Burrell, but it looks like he's not gonna have an optimal amount of ERS, so I'm not sure how he's gonna save it up.
Unfortunate, I'm on board with Lifeboat right now, just coming for the first sector split, 700 of a second up on his first sector time. He's currently down in P12, so definitely needs to find some time on this lap if he wants to get himself a good qualifying position here as we go through turn 4. And now heading into turn 6, let's see what the middle sector is looking like for Lifeboat. A little bit of traffic ahead, gets out of the way, and he's lost a hundredth of a second, but this one's too wide on the exit of turn 7 as you go into turn 8, and that is an invalidation for Lifebout. Aiden going to be starting a lap, Stretch going to be starting a lap soon, Tactician is just on a lap, Aguado is a little bit further on his lap. You've got Yano coming to the line now, so I'll stay on board with Yano as he comes through the penultimate corner, now through the final corner, and he's just about within the limits of the track, and he comes to the line. It's a marginal improvement, and he doesn't improve his position though. As we got Aguado now in the middle sector, 800 of a second up on his time. This will put him ahead of Yano, but if he can find some more time in the final sector, he should be there or thereabouts with King's lap time. Coming through the final corner now, Aguado to the line. What's it going to be? And he goes up into P3, just missing out on jumping on ahead of King. Tactician to the line. He can't improve.
Miguel invalidated on the exit of turn 8, I think that is. But he's still going to continue his lap. He's going to finish it. That would have been an invalidation as well. Would have seen it. It would have seen him up into P2 that lap.
Even marginal improvement, but that... what's it called? He did go quite off track for the final corner, so...
Oh, Stretch has spun round. He did invalidate his lap though. As we have Fleddy now coming round the penultimate corner, very wide entry there. That's going to scrub a lot of time off. Surely invalidated, yeah. Not an improvement, but he's got his teammate Jerome coming up behind him. Didn't get close enough to the apex of that corner. It is an improvement, and it did move him up above his teammate Fleddy.
Yeah, and that is going to be the end of a qualifying year. Owen Moore takes back-to-back pole positions. Of course, again, pole last time out in Qatar. He does it again, puts himself on pole this time, but fortunately for him, is not as close as what he was last week. Because last week, remember, the top 3 were covered by 3 thousandths of a second. This time, he's got a little bit of a gap, so Owen Moore will be feeling very pleased about this.
Yeah, he definitely will. He would definitely be buzzing about getting a pole position, especially by over 2 tenths. He's definitely the man to beat, judging by his qualifying time.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, while we're in this little break, obviously, I'd like to shout out the sponsors, GTO Mega. There should be a link to the GTO Mega site in the description. And of course, if you are purchasing anything through the site, make sure you use code PSGL at the checkout for a lovely little discount.
Yeah, he doesn't love a discount.
Exactly. But we'll run you through the order one more time. It is Owen Moore that takes pole position with a 1 minute 3.3. 2 temps clear of the man that will join him on the front row is RCR King in the Alpine. Aguado in P3 with Yanel alongside him on the second row in P4. In P5 we have Aidan with P6 holding Tactician. P7 will go to Stretch with the first of the Red Bulls in P8 Jerome, and then his teammate Fleddy will start in P9. The McLaren of Burrell rounding out the top 10, and outside the top 10 we have Miguel in 11th and Lifeboat in 12th, and Chris didn't get a lap time on the board, and this is going to be an intriguing one. Obviously less drivers than what we would have expected coming into this race, but a big opportunity for a lot of these guys to get some good points on the board.
Yeah, definitely. Like you were saying before we started here, well, just at the start, it's going to be it's going to be very hard to catch the field if you do drop out of a DRS train, just because of the nature of the track and there being 3 DRS zones. So you just got to be really consistent, and you just got to make sure you're not taking any unnecessary risks, really.
Yeah, absolutely, and as I mentioned, this is a big opportunity for several of these drivers. Obviously, one being Borrell has yet to get a point on the board, but he has a big opportunity to get some points now. With the grid being a bit less than what we were used to. Obviously Jerome and Chris having a big opportunity to get some good points here, obviously down in 15th and 16th respectively on 4 and 3 points. And with Alex now being here, a huge opportunity for Fleddy and Miguel, and even Yanel and Owen Moore to put a bit of a gap there between them, because obviously Miguel and Fleddy are in and around the same points as Alex, and Yanel and Owen Moore can get a good result here, and they'll be up there with Alex. So this goes to show that having consistency and turning up to the races will help you out in the long run. And obviously Aguado and King, they are, as I'm going to cut off now because we're going to be going to the 5 red lights. Lights are out and we are underway here in Austria, and a very good start there from Owen Moore. He's going to hold on to the lead as the top 3 stay as they are. Tactician gets a move done as he actually goes a little bit too much on the inside curve and actually loses that back to Aidan as we climb up the hill towards turn 3. Miguel looking over the back for Fleddy. He's going to have a little look down the inside. Can the Mercedes get this done? And he just about does it. Meanwhile, Jerome managed to sneak through Tactician. Tactician going very deeply through turn 3. Now the run down into turn 4. Oh my god, is that 3 wide? Oh, thank god. Wasn't quite 3 wide going into that corner, but Fleddy around the outside of Tactician through turn 5. Now we'll have the inside for turn 6, and that's the position there for Fleddy.
Yeah, it's a very...
Miguel down the inside. Miguel not wasting any time trying to get straight through on Tactician. I'm wondering if Tactician has picked up any damage, because he's dropping through the field like a stone in water.
It doesn't look like he's got any damage, and that was Lifeboat and Chris both fighting away. And Borrell started on the hards. Looked like he's got some front wing damage, unfortunately. Well, actually, no, he doesn't have front wing damage. He's already changing his tyres to mediums. It was very interesting strategy call there for Borrell. I think he realised that everyone else is... Well, only Owen was starting on the mediums. That explains why he had such a good run. And just going through all of the position changes, of course, Stretch gained a position, Jerome gained a position, Fleddy also gained a position, Miguel has gained 2 positions, Tactician has lost 4 positions, Lifeboat and Chris both gained a position, and Burrell is down 3 at the moment.
Yeah, And that gap, Owen Moore has pulled the gap already on King and Aguado. Looks like Aguado, though, is going to be looking to size up a move on the Alpine ahead. And we could be seeing the championship rivals do battle here in Austria. And it's something that we do love to see. And I'm not gonna lie, it's very overcast out there. So maybe everyone going on hards to play it safe. Maybe Owen Moore thinks he could take a mediums to a possible ring.
Burrell has pit again.
Here comes Aguado down the inside, and it should be job done, but can King hold it around the outside? He's going to try. He's going to keep his foot in, but unable to get it done in the end. Aiden getting close to the back of Yanel for P4 as well. Miguel has managed to get through on Fleddy, but it's a 1.2 gap to Jerome up ahead now. And this is looking like a long race for Fleddy, because he doesn't appear to be right there with Aguado and King like he normally is.
Yeah, it's very, very solid here from Owen Moore. He's already gained 2-second gap, and yeah, he can still, well, Aguado can still see Owen Moore ahead of him. But it's also like, you gotta think, when they switch to tyres, providing it's gonna stay dry, as Stretch gets a lovely move on the back of Aiden and he gets the DRS. I think Aiden still managed to get DRS. He did, because there is this train as Jerome dives down the inside. Very aggressive racing there from Jerome, and it pays off.
Yep, Jerome through up in the P6, Stretch through up in the P5, and looking on the back of Yanel now. King got close to the back of Aguado going into turn 3, but decided to not risk going down the inside there. And of course, by not going for it, it meant that he left himself with a bit of a compromised run out of turn 3, so he was unable to challenge down in towards turn 4. But the DRS train goes down from P2 all the way down to P12. No one is out of the train apart from Owen Moore, who's 2.3 seconds clear. And of course, you've got Burrell, who's 46 seconds behind. And honestly, close to being lapped.
Yeah, he's dangerously close to being lapped, but he's already pit twice in this race. The first time wasn't, I think he must have had wing damage and he pit to get his front wing changed, but then it didn't change it, so then he had to pit again to get it changed. So that's why he's about 46 seconds behind Lifeboat at the moment, as Aiden had a little bit of a moment there going through sector 2, the first corner in sector 2, second of the double left-handers, but coming into the final 2 right-handers of this lap is still very much a DRS train, apart from Owen Moore and Burrell.
Yeah, Owen Moore 2.6 seconds clear now at the front, and I'm intrigued with the strategy call. Is it going to rain at some point in this race? Because look at the clouds, they are not looking too appealing right now.
No, it's definitely looking very grey and dull out there. There's Stretch and Yanel going side by side. Stretch, it looks like Stretch made a little bit of a dive bomb into turn 3. Yanel's going to try and stick it around the outside, gets ahead for a brief moment. Contact a little bit between the two. They're going side by side here. And
look
Stretch.
at Jerome trying to sneak through as well.
Jerome, the sneaky little beaver that is Jerome, and he manages to get through.
No, Stretch
not quite.
Oh, that was brilliant.
This opens the door for Aiden now, because he's right on the gearbox to Jerome, but superior run out of turn. The last turn should keep him in, but he's actually lost a little bit of time through that last turn, and Miguel behind him is catching.
Yeah, that was a nice bit of battling between Yanel, Stretch and Jerome there. Obviously, Yanel and Stretch were side by side going through turn 4, and it allowed as Miguel tries to go around the outside at the turn 3 on Aiden. If he can pull that off, that's a brilliant move. And he's going to be wheel to wheel with the McLaren as they head down in towards turn 4. Hand of Rage goes up in the car from the Mercedes driver, and he gets through and up into P7. There we go, Miguel making moves, getting up the order.
Yeah, it was very, very good there from Miguel, and Burrell has got himself a time penalty for presuming the track limits at the last corner. But the gap at the front is starting to close a little bit. It was closed down by 2 tenths, I believe. And you've got to think that maybe Owen Moore is starting to struggle. Maybe a little bit. Of course, these hards can go a long way into this race. But unless Owen Moore is trying to save his tyres a little bit so they can last a little bit longer, I'm not sure. But it's still a healthy gap. It's still about 2.5 seconds.
Stretch with a big lunge down the inside on Yano. Squeezes out the Alfa Romeo onto the outside curb, and that's going to allow Jerome to go through. I think Yano's not going to be too happy with that, as Miguel now is going to try and hold it around the outside. Going into turn 4. Can the Mercedes pull this off once again? And he is going to have the inside now for turn 6. He has a full car alongside. He'll have the inside line, and he'll have P6 off of Yano.
Yeah, that was very good racing there. And yeah, Yano just looks like he's all over the place, because now he's got Aiden breathing down his neck, waiting for a mistake. And yeah, like I was saying before, that gap is definitely starting to shrink between Owen Moore and Aguado. Looking at the ERS situation between the two, Owen Moore's actually used 50%.
Yano went off track, and that's opened things up for Aiden to have a little look as we climb up the hill in towards turn 3. Aiden will have the inside line. Yano's going to have to try and hold it all the way around the outside. He gets squeezed to the exit curb, but he will have the traction, and that's a fantastic overtake there from Yano.
Yeah, just got completely out-tractioned, and yeah, he's just... I'm surprised Yano had the traction he did out there, but he's still within DRS. Jerome down the inside of Stretch. Starting to get this move done. He tried to get this move done on a previous lap, and Stretch went down the inside of that right, but Jerome has the position. But that battling with Stretch has forced him out of DRS.
Freddy absolutely sent one on Yano there going into the penultimate corner. I just flicked down because I saw Yano drop in position. He's now behind his teammate Tactician, so he's lost out to both Aiden and Tactician, yeah? And Freddy almost was able to get the move done on him going through. Oh no, that's Chris out of the race.
Doesn't look like there will be a safety car. No, it's just yellow flags. But yeah, that's unfortunate for Chris to crash out of qualifying and then to crash out of the race. It's not gone well for one half of the AlphaTauri team.
Yep, and Chris out of this race, and you mentioned about the gap coming down. Is now within DRS range. Aguado now within 1 second of Owen Moore. As Aguado continues to close in on the Ferrari. King is just tooting on the edge of that 1 second. He's just outside it now. He may have DRS. In fact, no, he doesn't. And he picks himself up a 3 second time penalty. This is huge now. King has lost out on DRS to Aguado. Aguado has DRS now on Owen Moore. And is he going to be trying to set up a move down in towards turn 4? I would assume so, because it looks like those medium tyres have begun to fall away from Owen Moore, and Aguado, it looks like he's used quite a lot of his ERS to close up, and he may use a bit more to get through relatively soon, as Yano and Fleddy were scrapping for P10. Of course, the final point being position down towards the back. We'll jump on board with that battle as they climb. Come down in towards turn number 4. Fleddy will stick behind Yano, but they've lost out now, and they're 1 second behind off the back of Lifeboat, who's up into P9. Obviously his teammate out of the race, And now Jerome out of DRS as well on King, and that gap has continued to grow ever since he dropped out. And yeah, I mean, we're starting to see a bit of a split going on. It's Aguado all over the back of Owen Moore once again.
Yes, it's very close racing between those two, and King amid all this, amidst all of this battling between the two, he's found himself in the battle for a potential race lead. But of course, the 3-second penalty that hangs over his head, it's not going to do him any good. The stretch got a move done on Jerome, but Jerome isn't having any of it. Goes for a little bit of a look, keeps himself.
They're still going to be side by side as they head in towards turn 6, and Jerome tried to send one back down the inside. That's what one things up for Miguel now. Miguel side by side with the Red Bull, and it looks like Miguel might be able to get this move done. Jerome will have the inside for turn 8, and yep, Jerome able to hold that position, but Miguel looking racy here now as he tries to get a move done on the Red Bull. Remember, he's got a McLaren in behind him, looking for any opportunity to get through. And in a train like this, capitalising on mistakes is absolutely huge.
Yes, very much a huge thing.
Back up towards the front though. Aguado closing up to Owen Moore, does not want to risk it. King was close enough that he could have possibly gone for a move on Aguado, but he didn't want to risk it as well. And they stay in their positions for the time being. In fact, no, King's on his ERS. King's going to go for the move on Aguado, and he's going to try and hang it around the outside of turn 4. Wheel-to-wheel contact between the pair of them. Aguado dropping down to P3 as King takes P2 away from the Williams man.
Yeah, it's a very good move there from King, and Aguado is just trying to stick with him as much as he can, and just looking a bit further back to Jerome. He is getting close to the back of stretch there. And of course, we are only a third of the way through this race as Jerome is struggling with a little bit of understeer, as we saw through the penultimate corner of this lap. But the gap for stretch is starting to shrink a little bit more now. As to say that he had a bad run through turn 1 and it's grown above 2 seconds again.
Well, Scott, you know why it's beginning to close. King and Aguado refusing to overtake Owen Moore as it currently stands, and because of that, Owen Moore's tyres are beginning to go off. As I say that, King sends one down the inside. Owen Moore with the switchback. Is he going to be able to get the traction? He's on his ERS to try and hold it around the outside. This will be great if Owen Moore can stay ahead here, but he can't, as King will now have the inside line and will take that position as we go through turn 7, now through turn 8. RCR King into the race lead.
Yeah, that was very good. Very good overtake there from King, and I think that's Burrell that went round on the exit of turn 1. It's just not being a good outing here for Burrell, of course, being nearly 4. Oh, King!
Oh no! What happened there?
I think he just got on the sausage curb on the outside of turn, on the exit of turn 1, and that spat him out off the track, and luckily he avoided the wall. But now it's back to a 2-horse race for this lead, well, for the lead of this race. Aguado, of course, with King having a little bit of a moment there, it's opened the door right up for him to potentially overtake Owen Moore, as Owen Moore goes really wide and deep through that turn, and I think they're really starting to fall away from him now.
Yeah, and as you were mentioning earlier about stretch closing in, I think Owen Moore coming into the pits now, which is ideal for Owen Moore and obviously Aguado, because now he can try and stretch his legs out in front. He has 90% ERS that he can use. So Aguado sitting very well on his ERS usage. The one thing I was going to say, obviously, when Owen Moore was leading that three-car train of Aguado and King, both Aguado and King weren't going for the overtake, so they were just getting held up, which was allowing Stretch, Jerome, Miguel to close up as Yano and Fleddy trade positions there, as Fleddy possibly had a little look down the inside but didn't want to risk it. And yeah, that just meant that they couldn't get the position done, as you got Stretch now looking for a move on King down the inside. Job done for Stretch, and now King goes onto the exit curb, and that could open things up now for Jerome. We know Jerome been loving a bit of a dive into some of these corners. Didn't want to go for it that time around, and he might be trying to set up the Alpine for potentially a turn 3 move. As Jerome tries to stick onto the back of the Alpine, gets a poor final corner there and does fall away slightly from the Alpine. You see the red flashing light of Stretch indicating that he has less than 10% ERS, and that's going to be a big sign for King here, because King's just going to absolutely fly up. But look at Jerome, going to send one down the inside. Needs to make sure he doesn't go into the back of Stretch here. They're going to be wheel to wheel on the exit, and yep, Jerome's going to be able to get this done, as he has more ERS to play with and potentially could get the overtake on Stretch as well. It's going to be 3 wide down in towards turn 4. Jerome will have the inside line and will be able to take P2. King and Stretch side by side. Stretch managed to retake P3 from King. You got Miguel in the mix as well. These 4 drivers putting on an absolute show right now. Jerome in P2, Stretch down to P3, King stays in P4, and Miguel stays in P5. As Miguel's actually into the pits, and so is Aguado on the lap 17.
Yeah, seeing how far Owen Moore went on with the mediums, maybe they can go a little bit further, but for Owen Moore, he's just going to be laughing, because these hards, they should really get to the end.
King sending one down the inside on Stretch. He can't get all the way alongside, but if he can get a good run out of turn 3, he could be on here. He is drawing alongside the Haas. He will have the inside line, and he should just about be able to have the edge there, and yeah, gets the job done.
Just look at Tactician. He's found himself in an FP2 as it stands, and that is huge for Tactician, because he's actually managed to pull away from Aguado as well. Gonna have to see where Jerome and King feel this. I'm sure that they won't be too close, as
honestly,
both come into the pits and Stretch as well. But yeah, Tactician is over a second ahead of Aguado. Well, he was until Aguado started pushing. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see where these 3 guys filter out into this group.
Honestly, I didn't even clock a Tactician pitting a couple of laps earlier, going for the undercut. So yeah, I mean, Tactician played the strategy absolutely perfectly. He's got himself into position now where he is right there with Aguado, and obviously on the mediums they are going to close up to Owen Moore. You would assume so, at least. And if Tactician can stay with Aguado, he's going to be pulling further clear than the guys behind. And here goes Aguado. Now up into P2 goes the Williams. So Tactician, all he needs to do is stay with Aguado, and he'll be dragged along up to Owen Moore. Meanwhile, in the back, obviously Lifeboat up into P4 out of absolutely nowhere as well. I mean, he's had a brilliant undercut on the front runners. He's up into P4. Aiden up into P5. Miguel, Jerome and King. Well, actually Miguel's been able to jump Jerome, King and Stretch with that undercut. Pitting 1 lap earlier definitely helped him there, because he's now ahead of this 3-car battle. Yano close to the back. Stretch has actually dropped away from King, so I wonder if he got slightly held in the pits when they were doing the pit stops. as Aiden closes up to Lifeboat. Not going to risk a move at this moment in time, but he might have a good enough run to go for a move into turn 4. DRS wide open. He's got 50% DRS to play with. So Aiden not electing to go for a move. He's just going to sit back for the time being, but he has to make a decision pretty soon because he's got Miguel right behind him. And Miguel, if there's an opportunity to go for the overtake, Miguel's going to go for it.
Yeah, it definitely is. He's been right on the button when it comes to
Lifeboat's left
the
the session.
overtaking. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened to Lifeboat.
Well, he has disconnected from the session for me. I wonder if it's the same for you, but he has turned into a ghost car now. So obviously,
yeah, he is a ghost car.
Aiden and Miguel is just going to go straight through Lifeboat and get themselves up an extra position. So that means now Miguel is going to be able to close up to Aiden, and Aiden's not going to be able to do much about it because now Aiden does not have DRS and Miguel does. As Lifeboat's going to be overtaken now by King Jerome. Stretch, he's going to fall all the way down the order.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Jerome was doing. He tried to stick behind a ghosted car of Lifeboat so he could get the DRS. And it did help him with getting a move done. But there's contact between King and Jerome, still side by side, still getting very close, but Jerome makes the move stick. But King,
Honestly,
you don't go for a move there, King.
I mean, King is probably kicking himself for the mistake earlier on in this race because he's been put into this battle due to that one error that he made on the exit of turn 1 when he took the lead as Miguel gets through up into P4. So yeah, King, that one mistake has put him into this battle, and I think he's absolutely kicking himself now for that one mistake.
Yeah,
because
he is.
The
but
fight
look at the overspeed he's got.
Yes,
but they're a little bit slidey. He's really kicking. He's really just getting desperate because at the moment Aguado is just extending the championship lead even further.
Yeah, I mean, Aguado is all over the back of Owen Moore, and you'd think this lap, most likely, he's going to be able to get the move done, and Tactician has managed to stay with Aguado, so Tactician is not out of the realms of possibility for a race win. They got a 4-second gap to Miguel behind in P4. Aiden in P5 going to be sticking with him. Jerome and King, their fighting has left him on the teetering edge of DRS, and obviously Aiden going to be able to pull away from Jerome now up the hill, which is means there's going to be a bit of work there for Jerome to do, but that might help as Aiden goes for the move on Miguel and gets himself back up into P4. Jerome still just on the teetering edge, but he's under pressure now from King, who's going to be able to get this move done. And yep, King up into P6, and nothing that the Red Bull can do about it.
Yeah, and they've got Stretch behind them still, just trying to close up to the back of Jerome, and he is actually closing up a bit. Say that, he's just lost about half a tenth there, but yeah, the gap is, well actually, yeah, it is closing a little bit. And Janil's sticking with him, and as well Fleddy is. So it's not over yet for these guys. Of course, it is now a DRS train from 4th down to down to 10th. So, well, actually, no, Stretch has actually lost quite a lot of time on the back of Jerome, and he's actually run out of ERS.
Yeah, Janel's not got any ERS either. So these two have depleted all their ERS, and it looks like Janel can't get that move done. Fleddy, though, has 35% ERS. I don't think he realises the power he has in his hands on these two. As King goes for a double lunge down the inside, almost gets Aiden and Miguel. In fact, he might get Miguel as well, as he's going to go through into turn 6. And a bit of contact, and Miguel's around.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate for Miguel, but just gonna have to keep on. We'll just keep it going. And yeah, the top three still within the DRS train. And Owen Moore has actually got a slight ERS advantage on Aguado, but Aguado with a fantastic run. He isn't using any ERS, but you know he's going to be sticking with Owen Moore and just trying to get as close as he can. Yeah, neither of them are using any ERS, and Owen Moore just looks like he's getting the superior traction out of the two.
Yeah, and we're going to see how this is going to come back later in this race. Obviously, we're on lap 25 of 36. So we're over 2/3 into the race now. Here's Owen Moore that leads the way. He's on 9-lap-old hards, 7-lap-old mediums for Aguado, 9-lap-old mediums for Tactician. They've got a 3.5-second gap to King in P4 and 6-lap-old mediums. King is just about holding Jerome off DRS, but I think this time though he will have it. So Jerome gets DRS, and this is big because he'll allow him to close up. Aiden in 6th, Stretch in 7th, Yano in 8th, Fleddy in 9th, and he needs to make sure he stays within 1 second because he's on the teetering edge as well. And Miguel, after the contact between him and King, is currently running in the final points paying position down in P10. He does have a nice little gap to Lifeboat in behind though, but it's definitely a long race thus far for Lifeboat, as Stretch has lost it and Stretch went around. I don't know if you saw what happened with Stretch here.
No, I didn't actually manage to catch that. But it's really unfortunate for Stretch because he was having a fantastic battle, and yeah, he's just lighting up the rear tyres. And that's not good for Stretch. His tyres are going to be overheated. So he's just got to be careful on how much he pushes on these. He doesn't want to do it too quickly. As that's Burrell, who was retired in the pit lane. Of course, he didn't. Well, I'm guessing he did not want to be lapped there.
I think he realised that he had to make another pit stop and he would have been a lap down. And obviously, as Aguado goes to the move on Owen Moore, sorry to cut in on that one late, but Aguado into the race lead as you got Jerome looking to get a move done on King as well. He's using his ERS, he's got the DRS as Owen Moore's trying to fight back against Aguado, so we'll prioritise the battle up the front as Aguado gets good traction out of turn 4 through turn 5 now. Is he going to try and send it all the way around the outside to turn 6? No, but he's going to go for a little switchback and have the inside for 7. Oh, he doesn't want to commit to it as we go through turn 8 now. The Williams all over the back of the Ferrari. You've got the Alfa Romeo in there as well. And all this battling is doing is bringing King... I almost sneezed. Almost sneezed there as King is going to be closing in as these three are continuing the battle. It's just holding up the pack. And King has Jerome and Aiden in tow. Yano 1.2 seconds off the back of Aiden as we go back up towards the front, as it looks like Aguado may go for a move once again. Down the inside he goes, and he's back into the race lead, and Owen Moore will have DRS to come straight back at him, and that's the beauty of the DRS detection point on the run down into turn 4. You really have to time your overtake well to get the move done as Owen Moore gets back through up into the race lead. Tactician still just hanging in it. He's on 80% ERS as Aguado's on 100% ERS. And Owen Moore's on 100% as well.
Yeah.
These guys just aren't using their batteries. I'm very confused.
They're going to be saving it.
I am very confused by this, but Aguado is closing up to Owen Moore in towards turn 1. Yeah, he's not going to go for it into turn 1. Smart call there from Aguado as he is going to wait for the opportunity up towards turn 3. Meanwhile, you got King under pressure in the back from Jerome as Aguado goes for the move down the inside, and he's going to get done. But Owen Moore, is he going to do the same thing that he's done 2 laps in a row and come back at Aguado to retake the race lead? In fact, I think Aguado's going to stay ahead there as Jerome going to get the move done on King. King drops back into P5 now and runs onto the gravel on the outside, and that could allow Aiden to get close enough to the Alpine to go for a move.
Yeah, it's very, very close battle between these 3 in 4th, 5th and 6th, as well as 1st, 2nd and 3rd, and Tactician is closing right up to the back of Owen Moore. But Owen Moore, he did briefly slip out of the DRS detection, well, I'd say zone, I guess, or the parameters. But yeah, Tactician's getting very close. But this battle, Aguado's not letting up. I'm just looking at the ERS. Yeah, both of them are starting to use their ERS now. Both of them, well, Aguado at least is down to about 60%. Owen Moore is just above 70.
Lifeboat has rejoined the session.
Yeah, it's rejoined, but his car is still ghosted.
I tell you what, we're in for a very exciting final 6 laps. All the spots on the podium are well and truly up for grabs, and let's not forget as well, these guys battle each other enough. That's going to bring the likes of Jerome, King and Aiden in. And here's the interesting thing with the battle that is currently going on for P4 right now. Yeah, Aiden doesn't have a penalty to his name, so he'll get P4 regardless. But Aiden currently has 85% ERS battery there to use. So if these guys are able to close up, because the top 3 are battling to such an extent that they allow themselves to be caught up by Jerome, King and Aiden in behind, it could definitely bring Aiden into a good position, because he has the battery to actually go and do something.
Yeah, it's very, very tight and very close battle. And yeah, I don't think this group of 3 behind the front 3 have got any chance of catching up unless there's a late safety car.
No, you haven't absolutely called it, have you? Yano out of this race. We have...
It doesn't... Oh, I don't think there will... No, there's not. Oh, God.
I was going to say that was going to be the biggest commentator curse I've ever seen. Yano unfortunately crashed out of the race, and heartbreak for him. Lifeboat going for the fastest lap from the looks of it, putting on a fresh set of soft tyres. And honestly, not a bad shout from Lifeboat to do that, because obviously he unfortunately disconnected from the session. So he's at the back. Obviously, he knows he's in the top 10 now. So far off the back of everyone else, why not just go for it? Yeah,
but he has got... Who's that? Jerome just... No. There's Fleddy just ahead of him. And he is ghosted again. Is he ghosted for you?
You gotta remember he's a lap down.
Yeah. But he's still ghosted. Anyways.
I mean, we'll soon find out.
Yeah, we'll find out what's happening. Oh yeah, there we go. He was just a bit too... Yeah, he's getting a bit too close to Fleddy.
Now, this is where, as King picks up another 3-second time penalty, this is the part of the race now where Owen Moore's hards will be a bit better than the medium runners. So Owen Moore could be able to come back at Aguado here, and looks like he's going to go for it. In fact, no, he backs out, and honestly, it's a game of chicken right now between these two. Owen Moore doesn't want to risk going for the overtake, but if Tactician is close enough to him, Tactician's not going to wait around. He's going to go for the overtake on Owen Moore. It's Owen Moore down the inside of Aguado now into turn 4. Looks like he's going to get that position, get that move done, and up into the race lead goes the Ferrari once again. As Yano has left the session, heartbreak for the Alfa Romeo. As King and Jerome dueling battle as well for P4. There's 2 sets of battles going on. Difficult to keep an eye on what's happening in both battles. Aguado though, keeping close to the back of Owen Moore. He is battling for a race win here to get a brilliant lead in terms of the Drivers' Championship, because of course the nearest man to him is King, and King has a 6-second time penalty and is down in P4, so he'll drop behind both Jerome and Aiden right now. Potentially, if those guys battle, he'll drop behind Fleddy as well, and that would be fantastic for Aguado, who goes down the inside of Owen Moore. Back up into the race lead goes the Williams, but Owen Moore will come back. In fact, no, he won't. Neither of them get the DRS. So the only one that has the DRS is Tactician. And Owen Moore's going to use a bit of battery just to get through on the Williams. Back into the race lead goes Owen Moore. Tactician there, I mean, if he used a bit of battery, he would have closed right up with those two. As, King's in the gravel.
Oh, no.
King is in the gravel. I'm not sure what happened to King there, but yellow flags were out and he's in the gravel, and that is huge in terms of the Drivers' Championship, because now Aguado, as long as he keeps it on track, he's going to pick up a huge amount of points on the King here. As we're on the penultimate lap right now, Aguado trailing Owen Moore by 0.3 of a second. I don't think he's going to risk going for an overtake on this lap. He's going to leave it for the final lap, I believe, and try and get this move done on the last lap of the race. But it'll be a question of will he be able to stay ahead? Because we've seen Owen Moore come back at him time and time again as they go side by side through turn 4, and Aguado might just have the edge of it here. He's going to use a bit of battery and he'll have the inside line for turn 6. A little bit of contact there as Owen Moore touches the back of Aguado. And honestly, I'm sat here right now, the top 3, I don't know who's going to win this race out of these 3.
Yeah, I've got no idea who's going to win this race, but on to the final lap we go. You have to say Owen Moore is in the best position possible to get this race win. He's got to try and save the overtake for the 3rd and final DRS zone. But the problem with this, you can get a worse exit out of turn 4 here. It doesn't look like he's going to do it. He's just going to full send it. Aguado having a better line. He's got a better line now. He's got the DRS.
Tactician's here as well. He's right on the back of Aguado. And he's going to be free wide at the turn 4.
Tactician could have got it. He could have gone down the inside there, but he decided not to. Probably for the best, because you wouldn't want to have a 3-car pile up there. But Owen Moore is right on the back of Aguado, really hounding him.
He's going to go for it around the outside.
He's going to go for it.
Oh my God, this is brilliant on the final lap in this race. They're still touching as they go for the final corner. Aguado's going to take the win. Owen Moore gets a 3-second time penalty. Tactician pops up in second. Aiden gets a podium.
Oh my. Looking at the gap, I think Owen Moore may try and get that penalty removed, because it was Aguado forcing him off out wide. Yeah, potentially,
I would see that Owen may try to appeal that penalty at the end, but absolutely fantastic battle between Aguado and Owen Moore at the end, and obviously Tactician getting involved, gets himself a podium. So we mentioned him earlier, trying to get himself some good points in, but today he got some great points. Driver of the day vote from the in-game fans as well, and honestly my driver of the day as well. It was a fantastic strategy from him. He went for the undercut and got himself in the fight for the race win.
Yeah, it was very, very good there from Aiden.
Tactician.
Yeah, tactician and Aiden as well, because Aiden was part of that group fighting for 4th, 5th, and 6th, and he found himself all the
Aiden,
way up into 3rd.
yeah, Aiden doing well as well. I mean, that battling at the end, that really benefited Aiden as he was closing in on the top 3. So any penalties were definitely going to be able to benefit the Scotsman. But we'll run you through the order one more time. It is Aguado taking the race win ahead of Tactician in second place, with Aiden completing the podium. Owen Moore in P4 with Jerome in P5. Fleddy comes home in 6th place, and King, what could have been for him down in P7. Miguel comes through in P8, picks up the fastest lap, and Lifeboat apparently is 36 laps behind everyone and has a 9-second time penalty. So I'm not entirely sure what happened there with Lifeboat, but I'm sure we'll get that sorted out. Unfortunately, our non-finishers were Yanel, Stretch, Borrell and Chris. So losing 4 drivers, 9 seeing the checkered flag. But a fantastic end to that race, and they kept us on the edge all the way to the final corner. Absolutely, and a massive congratulations to Aguado on taking the race win, and of course extending his lead in the championship. Tactician with a fantastic podium. Same with Aiden, to be fair, but we don't know if Owen Moore is going to try and appeal that 3-second time penalty at the end. If he does, that will push Aiden off of the podium. And of course, one thing I would like to go through is, of course, the races that we will be going to next. So next week we will be traveling to a personal favorite track of mine. We're heading to Japan. It's going to be round number 6 at Suzuka, the only figure 8 circuit on the F1 calendar. And Quinn, how do you feel about Suzuka?
I really enjoy the track, obviously, apart from Sector 3, which I think everyone just absolutely despises on this track on Japan, but it's going to be interesting to see how everyone handles it.
I mean, Sector 3 is just, it's pretty much a straight in the chicane.
Yeah, but the chicane is just so difficult to get around and just like completely optimize it, and yeah, it's a lot of people I've seen complaining about Sector 3 of Japan.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, but of course that is next week. Obviously, before we go, we'd like to shout out our sponsors, GT Omega, once again. If you do go onto the GT Omega site, the link should be in the description. If you go on there and purchase anything, at the checkout, use code PSGL for a lovely little discount. But yeah, next week we will be back with more F6 action as we head to Japan. So until then, guys, I've been Mike, he's been Quinn, and we'll catch you next week.
See?